Now it is visible.
Yes, sir.
So this is iron making subject, right? So first of all, I would like to say what is iron making. Fine. So iron making means we are converting the iron ore into iron, right? Or we are producing iron from iron ore, and we know the iron ores are basically available in form of hematite, Fe2O3, or sometimes in magnetite form, Fe3O4. Can you tell me the difference between Fe2O3 and Fe3O4? What is the difference in their property?
One is magnetic and one is non-magnetic.
Yeah, very good. So magnetite is magnetic and hematite is, well, it is magnetic, but still it is like magnetic
Weakly
permeability
attracted
is
to
less.
magnet.
Yeah, weakly
Weakly attracted.
attracted to the magnet. Yes, but magnetite is strongly attracted towards the magnet. We have to remember. So basically, for iron making, we choose magnetite, not magnetite. Sorry, we choose hematite rather than magnetite. Right? There are certain reasons behind that. Obviously, the availability of iron ore is mostly in form of hematite, which is higher, which is having higher oxidation state, right? And magnetite is having lower oxidation state. And if you calculate the amount of iron, theoretical amount of iron in hematite and magnetite, magnetite is having higher amount of iron, but hematite is having lower amount of iron. But still, we are using hematite because there's certain reason. One of the main reason behind is if you convert hematite to magnetite, you can get more porosity. You have to remember this one. Sometimes people ask this kind of question in semester or maybe in interview, right? Why hematite is more preferred over magnetite for production of iron? So best answer is by converting hematite to magnetite, we get more porosity. Why we get more porosity? Because oxygen will come out from the iron ore during reduction, right? So if oxygen will come out, oxygen is anion, right? It is non-metal, it is anion. Anion are bigger than cations. Iron plus is cation and oxygen is anion. So if big substance will come out, it will give rise to more porosity, right? So you have more porosity, so further reduction will be easier if you use hematite. Fine. I think you people have understood why hematite.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Very good. And similarly, another reason is in certain text you can see the partial pressure of oxygen in hematite is higher compared to magnetite. So that will also help in the reduction process. If higher is the partial pressure, it can easily come out. Hmm? So that is, see, reduction. That means I can simply say iron making is nothing but a reduction process. Reduction process means removal of oxygen. Why removal of oxygen? I can say because iron oxide is an oxide ore. The non-metallic part is oxygen. We have to remove this oxygen out of this ore, right? So that is a reduction process. But technically, reduction means addition of electrons, right? Anyway, so that means Fe2O3 will become Fe in simple way, I can say. That is iron making. But basically, we end up with impure iron. You always have to remember we never get pure iron during iron making. Basically, we get impure iron. If it is in molten state, we are saying it is a pig iron because it looks like liter of pig. That's why it is pig iron. You might get a question what is meaning of pig iron? Pig iron means it is an impure form of iron which contains large amount of impurities. Basically, carbon amount is very high, 3.5 to 4.5 or 3.5 to 4.3 basically, and it simply looks like liter of pig. The color of this impure iron is like color of the liter of pig. Right? I think you people have understood up to this, right? Then if
Yes,
you,
sir.
yeah, you have any question, yeah, you can ask.
Sir,
Yeah.
Sir, if the ore is more porous, then what are the advantages or disadvantages
Advantage,
of
see,
it?
yeah, I will explain it. During iron production, we are using coke, coal, or any natural gas, basically, or that is reformed natural gas. Fine. Anyways, we have to use a reducing agent or reductant, that is called. Right. Either you can use coal, either you can use coke, you can use natural gas. Right. But at the end, coke, coal are solid, but they become gas, gasification of coal or gasification of coke by solution loss reaction. That is, it formed carbon monoxide. You remember the solution loss reaction? C plus CO2 give rise to CO. Carbon
Sir, is
solid
it a
carbon.
Borwart's reaction, that reaction?
Yeah, that is Borduat reaction. But Borduat reaction is an equilibrium reaction. But if it goes in forward direction, it is solution loss. Is okay now? C plus CO2. CO2 is a gas. C is the carbon present in coke or coal. Give rise to CO, carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is a reducing agent, right? Up to this, people have understood, right?
Yes, sir.
This carbon monoxide has to diffuse into the ore. Ore is not a small substance, it's a big substance, right? So carbon monoxide has to go into the ore and react with oxygen to form carbon dioxide. And this carbon dioxide has to come out. So if a structure is porous, so this gas can easily penetrate or not?
अच्छी था सर का नंबर दी जनगर अच्छी हाँ
Now you
Yes,
got the
sir.
answer.
हाँ से इवेंट कोऑर्डिनेटर ना
Yes, sir.
If
आप
your iron ore is
ना
more
दिया
porous,
इतना था
more
पोस्टर
penetration of this carbon monoxide will take place, or EG penetration will take place, or it can penetrate to a large extent. So more removal of oxygen will take place, right?
हाँ
That's why. So converting Fe to
Sir?
yeah.
Sir, sir, if we will charge ore in the form of powders, then what about the porosity? Will it will increase or decrease?
Sorry, can you?
Sir, if we are charging the ore in the form of powder or small particles, sir, then the porosity will increase or decrease?
Nice question. See, porosity will be there if the particle size will be bigger. If particle size is very fine, so porosity will be minimal. And basically, if you see iron production using blast furnace, we never charge fine particles. We always charge lumps. Either we charge lumps iron ore, or we can convert this lump fine iron ore into pellets or sinters. You have gone through that particular subject, sintering, right? In
Yes,
UP
sir.
unit of sintering. In sintering, we convert fine iron ore into lumps. We charge these lumps, sinters. Sinter are lumps, bigger size particles, bigger size particles. Or we can convert the fine iron ore into pellets. Pellets are also spherical substance, but they are also iron ore, spherical iron ore, big size. So basically, there is a criteria you have to remember. If you are using blast furnace for iron making, there is a criteria that what should be the size of iron you are feeding into the furnace. It should be greater than 10 mm. You have to remember. You might get a question. What should be the minimum size of the iron ore you are feeding into the blast furnace? It should be 10 mm at least, or more than 10 mm, but less than 40 mm. Right? This is a range, 10 mm to 40 mm range. You understood, right?
Yes, sir.
But if you feed fine, suppose your question is instead of lumps, you are feeding fine iron ore. What is the problem? The problem will be there will be heavy dust loss will be there. Why? Because if you check the iron, blast furnace iron, let me show you. See this image. See this image. It's written over here. Hot air from hot blast stove. It is visible. The crusher is visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Hot air from hot blast stove. You can see. That means this blast furnace is a counter current reactor. Can you people tell me why it is a counter current reactor? because we are charging raw materials from the top. You can see we are charging sinter, pellets. So the spelling is wrong. Sinter, pellets, lumps from the top, coke from the top, dolomite from the top. But we are charging hot blast from the bottom. So hot blast will move from bottom to top, and these raw materials, solid raw materials, will move from top to bottom. Right? You people have understood now. It is why it is a counter current.
Yes, sir.
There is a opposite direction movement is there, right? Hot blast will move from top to bottom, but from the top, the solid material will move from top to bottom.
सीबीआई का जितना इन्वेस्टिगेशन हुआ है वो किस स्टेज पर है ये बताया जाए और जल्दी से खत्म किया जाए। और दूसरी बात, जिन लोगों के पैसे फंसे हुए हैं उनको पैसे वापस मिले, जितने भी मिल सकते हैं, जितना पैसा रिकवर हुआ।
Yeah.
उड़ीसा गवर्नमेंट
My voice is audible, right?
तो इसलिए सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने नोटिस इशू किया है।
Yes, sir.
So this hot air from hot blast stove, you have to remember, we are providing this hot blast at a very high velocity, 200 to 300 meter per second. You can imagine, 200 to 300 meter per second. You are supplying the hot blast from the bottom of the blast furnace. This reason is called 2 year actually. 2 years. From the 2 years, we are supplying hot blast at a very high velocity. Obviously, pressure will be also there. So what will happen? If this hot air has to move to the top, if you feed fines from the top, what will happen? There will be a heavy dust loss because this hot air will carry away the fines from the top, and the fines will come out from the plastic without any reactions or reduction. Okay. So there is a loss of material, right? You got the answer, right?
Yes, sir.
If you have any confusion, you can ask me right here. So main reason behind is you can get a question like why we cannot feed fines into the blast furnace, why we are charging lumps, or why we are charging sinters, or why we are charging pellets. So this the main answer is because we are supplying hot blast at a very high velocity, that is 200 to 300 meter per second. So such a high velocity hot air will take away the fine particles from the top, and there will be a loss of material. And second, another important point is you will lose your permeability inside the blast furnace. We need to maintain a permeability inside the blast furnace always. Permeability of what? Permeability of this hot air which is going from bottom to top, and permeability for molten metal and molten slag which is forming inside the furnace. Permeability means it is kind of voids or gap between the solid particles. If there will be a small gaps between the solid particles, something can permeate, something can move, like basically fluids. Because hot metal is a fluid, slag is a fluid, your gas is also a fluid, and they can easily move through those pores or those voids. It is okay because the hot metal and hot slag which is forming, that has to move from top to bottom. It has to go to this earth, this one. It has to travel from here to this region. So how it will travel? If there will be no permeability, the hot metal and hot slag cannot travel to the earth from the Gauss region, from the 2 year region, right? And similarly, this hot air has to go from the 2 year region to the top. If there will be no permeability, how it can move? Because this has to move and this has to take part in the reduction process. I think you people have understood.
Yes, sir.
So you might get a question why in the blast furnace we need permeability. So now you can write the answer, right? But you have to remember,
Yes,
we are
sir.
supplying hot air. That doesn't mean hot air will move. This hot air will react with carbon. Means coke or coal, and it will become carbon monoxide. This carbon monoxide become hotter, and this carbon monoxide will move from the top, bottom to the top, and it will take part in the reduction process. Okay. So you need permeability for the movement of carbon monoxide, hot carbon monoxide, which is forming in the 2A region. Right. And second one, we need permeability for the movement of the hot metal and slag from the top to bottom. Okay. That's why we need permeability. But if we charge fine particles, we cannot maintain permeability inside the furnace. And can anyone tell me any other issues? Suppose, for example, if you are charging fines, then it can become sinter inside the furnace also. Yes or no? That means that you remember sintering means if you heat the fine particles at a high temperature, it becomes a lump, right? That is sintering, but it should be heated below its melting point. You know, you remember the sintering definition.
Yes, sir.
Sintering is an agglomeration process where we are heating fine particles to a high temperature below its melting point. So it becomes a single mass, single big mass or lump. That is sintering. So
Sir,
if you charge
incipient
fine
fusion.
yeah, incipient fusion temperature. Incipient fusion temperature is below the melting point of the material. Right? So you are charging fine iron ore, for example, and temperature is high. So if it becomes sinter inside the furnace, what will happen? Permeability will lose or it will increase? Obviously, it will lose permeability. That's very good, right? So if you feed fines, sintering may happen inside the furnace. So it is always better to do sintering outside the furnace and charge the sinter in the blast furnace, so that you can maintain a permeability. So if people have understood, then you can get a question like why it is always essential to feed sinters, pellets, or lumps instead of fine particles. You can write the answer.
Yes, sir.
In any time you have confusion, you can ask me. No problem. You can ask silly
Sir,
questions.
where the formation of carbon monoxide takes place means where the hot air blast will react with coke.
Yeah, at the 2-year region actually. At the 2-year region, I'll show you. Okay, I'll explain it later also. See here, hot air from hot blast stove is provided at the 2-year region. This is the 2-year region. So at 2-year region, the hot air will react with the coke basically, and if coal will be there also, it will react with the coal and coke. So what will happen? Combustion will take place. Combustion reaction is what? C plus oxygen. It will give rise to what? CO2. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
But temperature is very high. And you remember, if temperature is very
Yes.
high and carbon
So
is
carbon
available,
monoxide.
it will form carbon monoxide.
Yes.
Because carbon monoxide is highly stable at higher temperature. Basically at above 950. You can remember the Ellingham diagram, right? The stability
So,
of
sir,
carbon
then
monoxide
we have
increases
to-
with increasing temperature. Yeah.
So, sir, then we have to charge coke first from the top of the furnace, because
Yes,
if we
yes.
charge all the particles at same, means all the products at same time, so iron ore, coke, all will fall with the same velocity. And how we can ensure that the formation of carbon monoxide is first and then the reduction takes place? So we have to ensure that
Yeah.
we
The
have to
thing is
ensure
what?
that first coke is charged, and after that, if we can say that formation of carbon monoxide takes place, then we can charge the sinters,
Yeah.
pellets,
See,
and
this,
lumps.
you have asked the right question. Actually, you people should understood. We never charge the solid iron ore and the solid carbon, that is coke or coal, in mixed form. We never mix it outside the furnace and we charge it. We never do that. We charge separately. We separately charge iron ore. We separately charge the coke. So there is a concept CCO, 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 like this. What is CC? C means carbon. There will be one layer of carbon. Then will be another layer of carbon. Then you can charge the iron ore. O means ore. Then you can again charge carbon, carbon, then ore. Carbon, carbon, ore. This is one sequence. Or some people are some industry are following like CO, CO, CO. One layer of carbon, then one layer of ore. Then again one layer of carbon, one layer of ore. Then again one layer of carbon, then above that one layer of ore, like this. You understood my point, no?
Yes. Basically, we have to ensure that first carbon monoxide formation takes place, and after that we will charge the
No, 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 no,
over
no.
and all.
This blast furnace is a counter current reactor, and this is a continuous process. We are continuously charging iron ore coke from the top, and we are continuously blowing hot air from the bottom. It is a continuous process because the raw material inside the furnace is called burden. Actually, burden in technical terms it is called burden. BURDN, burden. The burden is continuously moving downwards, and the hot blast is forming carbon dioxide, and the carbon monoxide is continuously moving upwards. It is a continuous process now. You understood my point now?
Yes, sir.
Every time you can imagine the coke is reacting with oxygen, and oxygen is a fluid now. It can move and react. It doesn't mean it will react just at the QA reason. Obviously it will react at QA reason because of high temperature, but still it will react. You understand my point?
Also, I have a doubt.
Yeah, sure.
So the coke is reacting with the oxygen which is liberating from the ore, from the hematite, or from the air we are providing or the surrounding air.
No. Actually, okay, let me show you. Just have a look. This, from the top of the furnace, what are the raw materials we are feeding? Yeah, the question may be like, in iron making, you get a question like, what are the raw materials you are used for making iron by using blast furnace step? So you can see what are the raw materials. If you remember, I simply told iron making is a reduction process. But if you say iron making by using blast furnace, you have to say it is a smelting process. You remember what is smelting? Smelting is a combination of both reduction
Both
plus melting.
reduction.
Melting and reduction.
Both will occur simultaneously. Very good. Right? So that means we are producing iron, means we are converting Fe2O3 to Fe. Right? This is a reduction process because we are eliminating the oxygen from Fe2O3, and finally it becomes Fe, which is the elemental form of iron. So this iron ore contains what? This iron ore contains mainly Fe2O3, iron. Apart from that, it contains gangs. Gang means like silica, SiO2, and Al2O3, aluminum. These are the major gang you remember.
Yes, sir.
Silica and aluminum and Fe2O3. These are the three things present. Right? But it doesn't contain any carbon. You should not be confused. This iron ore never contains any carbon. It contains some other impurities like sulfur, phosphorus in form of P2O5 and sulfur. Right? So iron ore contains sulfur, iron ore contains this P2O5 phosphorus, it contains Fe2O3, silica and aluminum. These are the major things present in the iron ore. It doesn't contain any kind of carbon. We are providing carbon in form of coke or coal. Basically, for blast furnace iron making, coke is mandatory. Without coke, you cannot produce iron from blast furnace. Because why? Because coke has certain properties. It is very strong, very hard, and it is porous in nature. These are the major things you have to remember. Why you can get a question like this? Why coke is mandatory for blast furnace iron? Why we cannot produce iron using charcoal, or why you cannot use directly coal? Right? You understand my question now? Why coke is mandatory? The best answer is because coke is very strong and hard. It will not break. It will not undergo breakdown inside the furnace. Can you imagine if coke will break down? What will happen? What will happen to the permeability?
The permeability will reduce.
Very good, excellent. So instead of coke, if you by mistakenly charge lump coal into the furnace, what will happen? Coal is soft, or it is not exactly, it is fragile actually. In
So it
technical
will,
terms, fragile. Fragile means which will break easily. When you apply load on it, it will break easily. So coal will break down easily and becomes fines. So if it will become fines, the permeability will get reduced. The hot metal, the hot slag cannot move downwards. Similarly, the hot air or the hot carbon monoxide cannot move upwards. Right? So that is the major reason, because coke is very strong and tough. It will not break down inside the furnace. So permeability will maintain. That is one of the important thing. Another important thing is coke have high calorific value. Calorific value means it will provide you more amount of calories, more amount of heat energy when undergo combustion. Okay. because you need heat for what? Melting as well as for reduction.
Reduction.
Yeah. Yeah. You have any question?
Okay, thank you.
And another important point, can anybody tell me why Coke, why not Coke? These are the two important points. One is Coke is tough, strong, it will not break, so permeability will not get reduced. And second point is Coke have high calorific value. Upon combustion, it will release large amount of heat, and this heat will use for melting and reduction. Anything else important point about using Coke?
If
Coke
we
is
will charge
Coke is
sir,
porous.
if
I
we will
told.
charge
Listen it carefully. Coke is porous. It is, and I told why porosity is needed. Can you tell me why porosity is needed?
for
Simply, you are
permeability.
Better
yeah,
permeability of hot
Better
air.
permeability of the hot air.
yeah, because you are providing hot air, right? This air contain oxygen. This oxygen has to diffuse into the coke, and it will take part in the combustion reaction to produce carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. So that is actually technically called reactivity. You have to remember. The concept is called reactivity of coke. So what do you mean by reactivity of coke? If you, it is the ability of coke to take part in the combustion reaction. So if coke has high porosity, it has high reactivity. But if, can you tell me what is the relationship between the strength and reactivity of coke? Can you tell me? Just opposite. Because if something is more porous, it will become less stronger. Yes or no? If something is more porous, more empty space will be there. So breakdown will happen easily. No? It will become powder. So coke is very interesting. It is porous as well as strong. That is very interesting fact about coke. And other important point about coke is, do you remember how we make coke out of coal? By carbonization
Carbonization.
process. Carbonization process. Very good. It is basically high temperature carbonization, above 950 or 1000 degrees Celsius. So what happens during carbonation? Anybody remember? During carbonation process, what happens? What is the composition of coal and coke? Can anybody tell me? That is the answer. Coal contains lot of ash, lot of moisture, lot of what other things, volatile metals. You remember? Coal contains lot of moisture, lot of volatile metal, lot of ash, which are not required. Right? So when we convert the coal into coke, all these things will get reduced. The moisture will get removed, the volatile matter will get removed, the ash content will get reduced. If more ash will be there, what will happen? More slag production will be there, because ash is nothing but your silica, SiO2. You understood my point now. So if then I can simply say, suppose you are using more amount of coal in iron making. So what will happen to the volume of slag?
Increase.
Very good. The answer is it will increase. Why? Because coal contain lot amount of ash, SiO2, silica, and more amount of silica. Silica is a gang or valuable material in iron making. It is a
Gang.
gang, right?
And particles.
It is a gang, na, unwanted particles, right? So silica will react with flux and it will become slag, and it will generate more amount of slag. So it is it good if more amount of or more volume of slag will form?
No.
Obviously no, right? Why? Can you tell me why it is not good? Just think why it is not good if more volume of slag will generate. Obviously, handling problem will there. You cannot handle so much of slag, and it will consume lot of heat energy. Why? Because slag has to remain in molten state always. Obviously, it will consume more amount of heat. So the process will be expensive or cheaper? Obviously expensive.
Expensive.
Right. Very good. So apart from taking part in the reduction process, what is the function of coke? Can you tell me? You might get a question like this. What are the main important function of coke inside the blast furnace? The first
It has
point
a
is
flux or fuel. It has fuel.
it's not flux. It will act as a reductant first. you are getting confused between flux and reductant. It will act as a reductant because it will give you carbon monoxide upon combustion, right? So the first function is it will take part in the combustion reaction to release heat energy, that is it act as a fuel, and second it will give you carbon monoxide which will act as a reducing agent. So coke act as a fuel, it will act as a reductant also. These are the two important points. Further, any other points? It will maintain permeability also, you have to remember, because coke is very strong and hard. So you have to remember at the Bosch region, I'll explain the different reasons. At the Bosch region, coke is the only material which is remain in solid state. It will not become molded. So it will maintain permeability at the Bosch region, so that the liquid metal, liquid slag can move easily towards the earth. Just check the image. This part is the Bosch. So at this region everything is liquid except coke. So coke is solid, it is not liquid, and it is strong also, so it will maintain permeability. So through this coke only, the void between the coke, the liquid metal and liquid slag can move towards the earth, right? So this is another important point. And you can also say it has high calorific value. It will take part in the reactions and other things. I think up to this it is okay. Then other raw material is dolomite or limestone. Dolomite or limestone. So dolomite, what is the formula of dolomite? Anybody remember?
MgCO3.
Dolomite is an ore of magnesium. It is calcium carbonate into magnesium carbonate, CaCO3 dot MgCO3. You have to remember. And this is a carbonate ore, right? MgCO3 dot CaCO3 or CaCO3 dot MgCO3. Okay? Calcium carbonate into magnesium carbonate. And what is limestone? It is only calcium carbonate. So these are carbonates, and these are used as a flux. So for iron making, blast furnace iron making, we need sinter, pellets and lumps. These are the iron ore. And apart from that, we need a reductant and a fuel, that is coke and coal, right? And other than this, we need a flux. Anybody remember what is the main function of flux?
Yes, they are causing to form floods.
Very good. So the important function of flux is it will remove the gang. We need to remove the gang, then only we can produce a pure metal, right? Unless until we remove the gang, we cannot produce a pure metal, basically. So what are the gangs I told? Silica and alumina. In iron ore, the main gangs are silica and alumina. So basically this dolomite and limestone, they undergo calcination. They become lime, CaO or MgO, or only CaO. They will react with silica and alumina to form a ternary compound. The ternary compound is what? CaO dot Al2O3 dot SiO2 or MgO dot Al2O3 dot SiO2. This is a ternary compound which is having low melting point or low softening compound. It is a slag.
Sir?
These are raw materials. And any other raw materials we need? We need also oxygen. You should remember. We also need oxygen, which we are supplying from the bottom, from the 2 years, in form of hot blast. Yeah. You are asking questions.
Sir, whether dolomite will undergo calcination within the furnace?
Yeah, that is a good question. If you remember in extractive, already have discussed all these things. We are charging sinters instead of lumps, basically. So sinters already contains your lime and that is CaO or MgO. You understood my point? Because during sintering process, we are doing calcination. Sintering is done using Dwight-Lloyd sintering machine. You remember?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. In Dwight-Lloyd sintering machine, what we are doing? We are igniting from the top. You remember? Down rod sintering. Right. So heat is available. So that means we are basically incorporating the flux, the dolomite or limestone, into the fine iron ore. And during during the sintering process, what will happen? The lumps become, sorry, the fine become lumps, right? And during this conversion of fine into lumps, your calcination will also occur. So at the end, you will get what? You will get lumps of iron ore containing your calcined dolomite or calcined limestone. It is okay now?
Yes, sir.
That means we are separately not charging limestone and dolomite into the furnace from the top. Already it is present in the sinter. It is okay now?
But inside the furnace, we are taking the hot blast, so how it will reduce as it is calcination, so the process should be occurring in the absence of air.
Sorry, can you tell me again?
As dolomite is undergoing calcination, so it should be in the absence of air, but we are charging or so air is blowing inside the furnace now, so how it will be undergo calcination?
You didn't get my point. There is a misconception in the concept. Calcination simply means it is a thermal decomposition process and removal of volatility. That is the definition. If something will undergo decomposition, do you think air is essential? Suppose CaCO3 becomes CaO plus CO2. Do you need air for this?
No.
You only need heat energy. You understand my point? CaCO3
Yes,
dot
sir.
MgCO3. If you provide heat only without air also or in presence of air, it will become MgO plus MgO into Ca. Right? So there is a misconception. You should not be confused in this. Calcination, there is no definition. That calcination you need air or absence of air. It doesn't affect if air is there or air may not be there. It will not affect the process calcination, because calcination is a thermal decomposition of the ore. It will undergo decomposition and removal of volatile matter. Volatile matter means CO2 is the volatile matter and water molecules is the volatile matter, H2. Now you got my point?
Yes, sir.
And I told we never charge this dolomite limestone directly into the furnace separately. This dolomite limestone will undergo calcination during sintering process. While you are doing sintering by using Dwight Lloyd sintering machine, you are charging a mixture of iron ore. You are not charging only fine iron ore. You are charging fine iron ore containing the fine particles of dolomite and limestone. You understood my point?
Yes, sir.
During sintering, what is happening? Only physical change is not happening. Physical change means fine become lumps, small particles become very big size particles. Right? That is sintering, physical process. Also, it will undergo chemical process. The CaCO3 becomes CaO plus CO. So that means at the end of sintering, what you will get? You will get a sinter, a lump that will contain what? CaCO3 or CaO?
CO.
Very good. It will contain
CaO.
CaO. So we are charging sinter. So sinter already contains CaO. So if you charge a sinter containing CaO, do you think any calcination will occur inside the furnace? No. You understood now?
Yes, sir.
Because calcination is a highly endothermic process, you have to remember. It needs high amount of temperature, high amount of heat energy. So if you charge dolomite and limestone separately into the furnace, what will be the problem? You need more amount of fuel, right? Because lot of heat energy will be consumed during calcination. We don't want that. We want our heat energy must utilize during melting and reduction. It is okay now?
Yes, sir.
That is called flux incorporation into the sinter. So, and that kind of sinter is called what kind of sinter? Fluxed sinter or super flux sinter. If you are charging less amount of flux, then that is called flux sinter. If you are charging more amount of flux into the sintering process, the sinter producer is called super flux sinter. So basically we prefer super flux sinter. Is it okay now? Any confusion you have, you can ask me.
No, sir. Clear.
So and the raw material is, you have to remember. So you remember what are the raw materials? One is, I told, iron ore in form of sinter lumps or and second one is the reductant that and fuel, that is coke or coal, and third one is your flux, that is dolomite and limestone, and other is the hot air. These are the major substance.
So before
And what are the
charging to blast
yeah.
furnace, the dolomite, limestone, and the iron are first they are sintered and then they are charged in the blast furnace.
Yes. Very good. They are sintered actually. So suppose let me clarify your statement actually. So the confusion is what is then lump and what is then sinter. What is the difference? Lump means it is only iron ore. It do not contain any kind of flux like lime or magnesium oxide. But if I am talking about sinter, flux sinter or superflux sinter, it means it is iron ore, but it also contains CaO or Mg. It is okay now?
Yes, sir.
Suppose, let me ask you a question. Suppose you are only using lump. You are not using any kind of sinter or pellets. Huh. So, what do you think? You have to charge dolomite and limestone separately or not? Suppose you are running a blast furnace and you are only using lump iron ore, then do you need to charge dolomite and limestone separately into the furnace, or you do not need anything like that? Answer is yes or no?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
The answer is yes. You need to charge dolomite and limestone separately because you are using lump. Na lump. Lump iron ore means only iron ore. There is no flux incorporation in it, right? So you need a flux also to remove the gangue. So how you can remove the gangue unless until you charge this limestone and dolomite separately? Then calcination will happen obviously. But nowadays we are not charging lumps. We are charging mainly sinter or pellets, which already contain some amount of flux. Or we are charging mixture of this sinter and lumps together. It is okay now? You got my point. So the question, let me clarify further if you want. Suppose you have a very high grade iron ore. The amount of iron in the iron ore is suppose above 65% or let it be 70%. Suppose. So what is more preferable? Do you need to do sintering? You make it fine and you make sinter, you charge it, or do you think you can directly charge lumps? If you have a very high grade iron ore, what is the main criteria? Do you need to make sinter or you can charge lumps directly?
Need to do sinter.
You need to do sinter. Okay. Any other people want to speak something about this? If you want, I can repeat the question.
Sir, repeat the question.
Suppose you have a very high grade iron ore. The amount of iron in the iron ore is suppose 70%. Let it be. So, do you need to convert this iron ore into sinter and charge it into the furnace, or you can directly charge lumps into the furnace without making sinter?
So that will depend on the size of the iron ore. What is the particle size?
Size of the iron ore can be obtained by doing crushing, no? Crushing and grinding. You know that mineral process. By using jaw crusher or direct crusher or
So sintering is needed.
sintering is needed. Okay. Two people have said sintering is needed. Anybody want to speak something else about it? The answer is no. You don't need to do any kind of sintering. Why? Because the ore grade is high enough. If the ore grade is high, that means amount of iron is more. That means what amount of gangue will be less or more? Obviously less. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Ore grade is
Yes,
high
sir.
means amount of Fe2O3 is more, but amount of SiO2 Al2O3 is less. So that means gangue is less. So you need less amount of flux, obviously. And less amount of flux means what? Calcination will be less or more? Less, obviously.
Less.
Calcination reaction will be less,
Yes, sir.
right? So you can directly charge lumps, no problem. You can run the blast furnace by using lumps separately and dolomite and limestone separately, no problem. Because you need less amount of dolomite and limestone. Because amount of gangue is less because it is a high grade iron ore. But if your iron ore is not so high grade, it is a low grade. For example, less than
Sir,
60.
sir,
Yeah.
sir, if you will charge separately, then you have said earlier that the dolomite will undergo calcination and we need
I
more
told-
heat.
Yeah, I also told you need less amount of flux. That is also essential. No? Less amount of flux means less amount of calcination will happen. So it will consume less amount of heat. Less amount of heat means obviously comparatively, relatively. Yes or no? Suppose you are charging 10 ton of limestone and in another way you are charging only 50 tons of limestone. So there is a difference or no? You are
Please
charging,
repeat.
suppose you are charging 10 ton of limestone and you are charging 50 ton of limestone. So 50 tons of limestone will undergo more calcination. You need more amount of heat energy, right? But 10 ton of limestone will require less amount of heat energy. Yes or no? Less heat is required.
Yes, sir.
So you can charge. So it depends upon the condition of iron ore, whether it is very high grade or low grade. If iron ore is low grade, so what will happen? You have to do mineral processing anyhow. You have to do concentration process. You need to do crushing, grinding. You need to do liberation. Then you need to do that. That means at the end of mineral processing, you will get fines, and you cannot charge fine iron ore. Anyhow, you have to do sintering. It is okay now. You understood my point, I think.
Yes, sir.
It is
Yes,
related to mineral processing actually. So obviously I always told mineral processing comes first, then you have to go for extraction, right? So that means if you have a very high grade iron ore, you only need comminution process. Only crushing is enough to get a size of iron ore that is in between 10 mm to 30 mm or 10 mm to 40 mm. You can directly feed the iron ore, no problem. But if the iron ore grade is very low, or obviously you need to do crushing, grinding, then concentration, dewatering and all, then you'll end up with fine particles of iron ore. Then you have to do sintering or pelletization. And during sintering, you can charge your flux into the process. It is okay? Fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. I'll continue for 2 more minutes. Just check the.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, you told that the size range of the sinters and pellets or the lumps should be 10 to 40 mm. So you gave the reason why the size should not be less than 10 mm. But if we use more than 40 mm, what will be the problem?
See, if there is a particular concept, if your size will become more and more, what will happen to the permeability? The permeability also get reduced. You understood my point?
But sir, we are using the porous material, no. So
You are
main
using-
thing is porosity. If we
Permeability.
use the big size part,
No. You are getting confused between permeability of the particles and permeability in between the particles. You should not get confused. Inside the blast furnace, 2 things are required. The most important part is both are required, obviously. Permeability within the particles and permeability in between the particles. Basically, to move hot air, to move hot metal and hot slag, you need permeability in between the particles. You understand my point?
yes sir.
For the penetration of carbon monoxide, you need permeability within the particles. So if in one point, if suppose you are using big size particles, very big size, above 40 mm, so what will happen? Even if you have permeability within the particles, but in between the particles will get reduced. You understood my point now?
So can you repeat?
I told, okay, there is a confusion between permeability inside the particles. Suppose you take a single particles. If it is porous, so it is permeable to carbon monoxide. It is okay. So permeability within the particles. and you are charging lot of particles into the furnace. So there is a permeability in between the particles. Suppose you are taking two particles, so there should be a gap between the two particles, right? You understand my point? But
Yes,
in
sir.
between the two particles, there will be no gap. But if you are taking 4 5 particles together, obviously you will get some voids, like interstitial sites in between the atoms. Yeah, you can consider. You remember the voids, octahedral void, tetrahedral void. So
Yes, sir.
that is the concept in for atoms. But here we are not talking about these voids, but we are talking about the pores or voids in between the particles. 2 3 particles, 4 particles, like that. Right? So suppose you want a iron ore have good reducibility property. So what do we need? You need permeability within the particles or permeability in between the particles.
So
For
in both.
bet for better reducibility, for better reduction, actually we need you need both.
Yes, sir.
Obviously you need both, because unless until the carbon monoxide will go into the particles, it cannot take away the oxygen. And similarly, the carbon monoxide has to move from bottom to top. Unless until you have permeability in between the particles, the carbon monoxide cannot move easily from the bottom to top. So both are required actually. Vedant, you understood my point, no?
Yes, sir.
And if the size of the particle will be bigger, so penetration will be also less. Yes or no? Because carbon monoxide has to travel more distance. It will take more time also for the reduction to happen. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
During, I think, during kinetics class, sir might have told you about the uh, core model. If you can remember the core model, he might have taken a FeO or Fe2O3, a spherical Fe2O3 or FeO, and the carbon monoxide is coming and penetrating into the Fe2O3 or FeO, and it is becoming slowly Fe. You might have remembered the porous structure is forming. And the water molecules or the carbon dioxide is coming out from the FeO or Fe2O3. Okay, you forget those things. Anyways, so last point I will tell you about the blast furnace structure. So question will be like, draw a blast furnace. A blast furnace, you can see the diagram of the blast furnace. This is the blast furnace, and you have to write what are the different section of the blast furnace or normal sections. So from here to here, just check the arrow marks. From here to here, it is called stack, or it is also called shaft. Stack or shaft. Okay, and second portion is this one. This is called belly. This region is called belly, and belly is this is called belly region. Then from here to here, it is called Bosch. This region is called Bosch region. Then this particular region is called Tuyere region. Tuyere, where hot blast is going into the furnace, and below that we have a container that is called hearth. So blast furnace is having stack or shaft, then Bosch, then Tuyere, then hearth. Belly portion comes under Bosch, you can say, no problem. This belly part comes under the Bosch region, that is, you can say, no problem. But basically shaft region or stack region, then Bosch, then Tuyere, then hearth. So what is the difference? The difference is, you have to remember, in the stack and shaft, everything is solid. The iron ore you have charged is solid, the coke you have charged is solid, the dolomite if you have charged separately, that is also solids. And here basically what happens, you have lot of indirect reductions happens. Indirect reduction, basically heat transfer also happens and indirect reduction happens. Indirect reduction means, do you remember what is the difference between direct reduction and indirect reduction? You might get a question in the semester or would say, what is the difference between direct reduction and indirect reduction of iron ore? Can you justify it?
Direct reduction done by carbon and indirect reduction done by carbon monoxide.
Very good, very good. If your carbon is reacting with oxygen, and it is becoming carbon monoxide, and this carbon monoxide is a gas phase, it is reacting with your iron ore Fe2O3, then it is called indirect reduction. But if carbon, directly the coke, or the coal is directly reacting with your, that is a solid now. If the solid is reacting with the iron ore, that is called direct reduction. How you can remember? This is a very simple way to remember. No need to mark these things, right? That means solid-solid interaction is direct, but if a gas will interact with solid, it is a indirect. Yes or no? You understood my point?
Yes, sir.
Which one is good? Direct reduction is good or indirect reduction is good?
I think indirect reduction is good.
Yes, indirect reduction is always good because a gas, a reducing gas, carbon monoxide is interacting with a solid, so diffusivity will be higher. A gas can easily penetrate and can diffuse into the iron ore easily at a faster rate. So reduction will be faster, obviously, or better. But if a solid will interact with a solid, that means directly coke will interact with iron ore. So diffusivity will be low. Yes or no? Solid diffusivity in case of solid is very less. You people have understood now the difference between direct and indirect, and which one is beneficial? Beneficial.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Similarly, can you tell me which reaction is important to do indirect reduction? That is called solution loss reaction. You have to remember. Solution loss reaction is very essential to do indirect reduction. Why? Because we are charging coke and coal, which are solid carbon, right? So if this solid carbon will react with carbon dioxide, it will give rise to carbon monoxide. The reaction is C plus CO2, give rise to CO. It is okay now? Carbon will react with carbon dioxide, or coke will directly react with carbon dioxide, or coal will directly react with carbon dioxide. It will give rise to carbon monoxide. So that is called solution loss reaction. And if you, instead of arrow mark, if you are writing in equilibrium form, it is called Borduard equilibrium reaction. Borduard equilibrium reaction means the reaction is in equilibrium. It can move in forward direction to give you carbon monoxide, or it can move in backward direction to give you what? Carbon dioxide and carbon. Do you people remember what is Newman reversion reaction or carbon deposition reaction? You will get a question. I'm 100% sure. Write the question. Write the Borduard equilibrium reaction. Write the solution loss reaction, and explain it. You can get a question like this. What is Newman reversion reaction or carbon deposition reaction? The Newman reversion reaction or carbon deposition reaction is just opposite to that of solution loss reaction. That means carbon monoxide will decompose into carbon and carbon dioxide. It is okay now?
Yes, sir.
So you can simply
Sir,
write
carbon deposition reaction or
Newman reversion. Neuman, Newman reversion. Neuman. I forgot the exact spelling. I may be wrong right now. You can check it. Nueman or Neuman, right? Something like that. Newman reversion. Because the reaction is reversion, right? Here carbon monoxide is what? Carbon monoxide is a solution. It contains carbon in a solution form, right? That's why it is called solution loss. But if it will move in the backward direction, this carbon monoxide will decompose into C plus CO. So carbon is coming out again in solid form. So that is a carbon deposition, right? Or Newman reversion. But if C plus CO2 will react to give you CO, that is called solution loss. But if you put equilibrium sign, that is a Borduard equilibrium reaction. So Borduard equilibrium reaction, I can simply say Borduard equilibrium reaction, if moves in the forward direction, it is called solution loss. And the same Borduard equilibrium reaction, if moves in the backward direction, it is called Newman reversion or carbon deposition reaction. It is okay now?
yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So next, and you, okay, fine. You can get a question like this: why the structure of blast furnace is like this? Why it is not parallel? Why the outer shell? This red line is the outer shell. Why the outer shell of the blast furnace is not parallel? It is a cylindrical vessel, but it is having different diameter. You can see. Suppose this is x, this belly portion is 2x, or this shaft portion is 2x, the bottom part of the shaft. Why it is? Can you tell me why it is not parallel?
Sir, most of the reaction are carried out in both phases.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Sir, most of the reaction are carried out in both region, that region.
No.
Sir,
Most
so,
of the reaction
the
happens in the
opening
stag. You have to remember, most of the reaction happen in the stag, not in the Bosch region. Most of the reaction in the Bosch region, you mostly direct reduction happens. Direct reduction. That is FeO plus C. Yeah. Can you repeat? Anybody want to speak anything?
So the opening
Sir,
part
this
is
structure
narrow
is
for better charging.
For better,
So for ease in charging of raw materials.
even charging of raw materials. Okay. Yeah, this point can be, but this is not the
And
right answer. You can
the
write some.
white part for better reaction between hot air and raw
Actually,
material.
for better reaction, you are saying. Yeah. These are some points. But what is the important point? The most important point.
सर जो ब्लास्ट कर रहे हैं हम फ्लूइड के थ्रू,
The most important point is you have to remember. This is a very interesting point. The what is the starting material and what is the end product? The starting material is Fe2O3, and what is the end product is Fe, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
So Fe2O3 do not directly become Fe. You have to remember. You can also write in your notebook right now. Fe2O3 do not become Fe directly. It will undergo in a stepwise manner, right? So first what happens? This Fe2O3 become Fe3O4. Then Fe3O4 become FeO. Then this FeO become Fe. It is okay? You understood my point?
Yes, sir. Please repeat it once.
Fe2O3 becomes Fe3O4. You can write Fe2O3 arrow mark Fe3O4.
Yes.
Then Fe3O4 arrow marks FeO. Then FeO arrow mark Fe. Right? So this is the sequence of reduction. So reduction of iron ore do not happen directly from Fe2O3 to Fe. It will undergo in a stepwise manner. So that means I can simply say what? Hematite becomes magnetite. Magnetite becomes oostite. Oostite become iron. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
This is one sequence, but there is another sequence also. It may happen like Fe2O3 become Fe3O4, Fe3O4 become Fe directly without going into FeO. This is another sequence of reduction. Actually, these two sequence depends upon the temperature availability. What is the temperature available? Basically, the temperature I don't remember. There is particular temperature where oostite is stable. If that temperature is available, then oostite will form. That is FeO will form. If the temperature is not available below that, then Fe3O4 directly become Fe. Right? You have to remember. That means the first the reaction will happen if a particular temperature is available, because oostite is stable above that temperature. If that temperature is not available and reduction wants to happen, then what is the sequence? Fe2O3 become Fe3O4, Fe3O4 become Fe directly without going into the oostite region. Fe2O3 is hematite, Fe3O4 is magnetite, FeO is oostite, and Fe is the elemental iron. Okay? You people have understood now up to this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So Fe2O3 is having a particular crystal structure and Fe3O4 is having a particular crystal structure. So can you tell me, if the crystal structure will change, the volume remains same or different?
Different.
There
Very
will be
good.
some change.
Yeah, obviously, if the crystal structure will change, the volume will change. So what happens? From the top, you are charging Fe2O3, but The moment you are charging Fe2O3, this Fe2O3 reacts with carbon monoxide to become Fe3O4. So what happens? If Fe2O3 become Fe3O4, what will happen to the crystal structure? The crystal structure will change. Fe2O3 crystal structure is different, Fe3O4 crystal structure is different. So Fe3O4 have a higher volume. You have to remember. The crystal structure is such that Fe3O4 have a higher volume. So can you tell me what happens then? You are not charging a small amount of material. You are charging ton of material. You can imagine. So if individual Fe2O3 is becoming Fe3O4, what will happen? There will
Need
be,
more space.
that means individual Fe2O3 becomes Fe3O4. That means individually they are expanding. Yes or no? Because due to change in the crystal structure. And you are charging ton of material. So that means you can imagine, if you have ton of material and everybody is transforming due to reduction and there is an increasing volume, what will happen? If the volume will constant, if your container volume is constant, what will happen?
Chance of burst or failure.
The container will break because the particles want to expand, it is expanding due to reaction, due to reduction. But the container volume is not, it is constant, it is not variable. So obviously it will break the furnace. So that's why you can see starting there is an increasing in the volume of the furnace. From the top towards this, there is an increasing in the volume. Why? Because Fe2O3 becomes Fe3O4. Due to this kind of transformation, the crystal structure is changing and Fe3O4 has a higher volume. So you need more space to accommodate this Fe3O4. You understood my point?
Yes, sir.
That's why there is an increasing volume. You can get this kind of question in the semester, also in the interview also. They ask this kind of question. That is the important point. You have to check the crystal structure of Fe2O3 and Fe3O4. I remember Fe3O4 is cubic, but Fe2O3 I remember it is tetragonal maybe. I'm not sure, but you can check it. I remember, but I forgot it right now. You can check it. Right? But you might have a question, sir, why this bottom part is again tapered? Why the volume is again decreasing? Can you check this bottom part? Yes or no?
So that the
Yes, sir.
iron and the slag can easily come out of the blast furnace.
That's why. No, if it is parallel, what is the problem? From the belly you can make it parallel, no? You can see the belly part is parallel or not?
Sir, again the crystal structure is changing now from Fe3O4 to
Okay,
Fe.
I told at the Bosch region, apart from coke, everything is liquid. That means already iron has formed, it is in liquid state. Slag has formed, it is in liquid state. So what is the need of crystal structure now? Everything is liquid now. So crystal structure will only form when it is solid. Can you imagine? Just imagine. Okay, when solid become liquid, what happens to the volume? And what happens to the density?
Volume decreases, density increases.
Very good. So when your solid, now you can imagine in the Bosch region I told, apart from coke is the solid part. Apart from coke, everything is liquid. That means already slag is forming just below the Bosch belly region. This region, your molten slag will be there, molten metal will be there. Everything is liquid now. So some solid coke will be there, but forget about solid coke. We don't need now the coke, right? Already reduction has happened. Coke is not required. Only coke is required for permeability purpose, right? So what happens? The liquid metal and liquid slag is there, so solid has become liquid, so there is a decreasing in the volume, increasing in the density. So if volume is decreasing, for economical purpose, we are reducing the volume of the container. This one, you can see this is tapered downwards. That means volume is decreasing on going downwards, because you need less space, na? Yes or no? Suppose it is parallel. Do you think it will affect the process? No, it will not. It won't affect the process, but the cost will be more. Why? Because you need more material, you need more steel to make the furnace, you need more refractory lining to make the furnace, so it will be expensive. So we need to reduce the cost. So to reduce the cost, we are making it taper downwards. Because already liquid is there. Liquid have low volume. It can occupy less space. Right. I think you people have understood now. Yes or no? It is okay, or shall
Yes,
I
sir.
repeat? Shall I repeat? You
Sir?
want me to? Yes.
Sir, but sir, the slag is always in the form of liquid. Then
Yeah.
how the volume will change?
No, no, no. I'm saying, just remember, from this portion to this portion, stack reason, everything is solid. But once you go below the stack, come to the Bosch region, this Bosch region. Apart from coke, everything is liquid. That means initially everything was solid, then it become liquid. So conversion of solid to liquid, there is a decreasing in the volume. You understood my point now?
Yes, sir.
Earlier slag was not there, silica was there, alumina was there, which is in solid form. You understood? And flux was there, which is in solid form. It is okay now?
Yes, sir.
सर वो कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ ब्लास्ट फर्नेस नहीं समझ में आया सर वो नीचे
Yeah.
टेपर क्यों मतलब क्योंकि जब सॉलिड से लिक्विड बन रहा है तो वॉल्यूम डिक्रीज कर जा रहा है
जब देखो, तुम मान लो कि तुम, ओके फाइन, लेट मी एक्सप्लेन इन इंग्लिश, इट विल बेटर. You suppose you take two buckets. In one bucket, you take both are metallic buckets, for example, high temperature metallic bucket. You take some solid iron ore. You put the solid iron ore in one bucket, and you convert the same iron ore into molten state, and you pour it in another bucket. What will happen to the volume? The volume will, they both will occupy same volume, or the liquid will occupy less volume? Tell me. See, it is very simple. Where there is solids, you have empty spaces in between the solids, no? Yes or no? And when it will become liquid, so the empty spaces will be filled up. So volume will reduce, obviously, no? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. But I
But
was
density,
thinking of block means if a block of iron ore is kept and if it is melted, so for example, if we take a glass and a block of iron is kept there, so it will not occupy the full space. But if we melt it and pour it in the glass, so it will occupy a larger space. I was thinking like that.
no.
But
We are
now it is,
we are charging individual particles. No, we are not charging single block of iron ore.
yes, sir, because of porous structure. So
No,
yes,
yeah,
sir.
it is porous. That is one point. It is porous, but you are completely confusing. We are charging million particles into the furnace, and in between the particles there is voids, no, which provides permeability to the carbon monoxide,
Yes, sir.
so that it can go up and it can react with every particles at the top portion. Actually, these things could
Yes,
be
sir.
explained well using blackboard, right? But you understood. I don't have blackboard right now.
And sir, from the Bosch region till from the Bosch region to the stack region, if we maintain the same diameter,
Yeah, if
so what will be the
you can
problem?
maintain, you can maintain same diameter, but the problem will be what? The cost will be more. See, the red line, the structure I have drawn, the structure in the red line. The red line is nothing but this is your outer shell of the blast furnace, made of a mild steel or some special steels. Basically mild steel, fine. And inside this mild steel you have refractory linings, right? You understand my point? The outer shell is made up of
Yes, sir.
steel. The inside it is having refractory linings. Suppose you want more volume, you make it parallel. So volume is more, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So if you are making it parallel, so volume is more. So volume is more means diameter is more. So if diameter of the furnace inside the furnace is more, you need more amount of steel, you need more amount of refractory lining to make it. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
And maintenance cost will be also more. More diameter, more maintenance cost.
Yes.
And you know everything is become liquid below this 2-year region. So what is the need of maintaining more diameter or more volume? So for economy purpose, this is we are reducing the diameter. Otherwise, you can make it parallel, no problem, but the cost will be more. Everybody have understood why it is why the diameter is increases initially and it become parallel, then again it decreases. You can easily write it now, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Up to this. And if you see the height of the blast furnace height is 45 meter nowadays. Very long. 45 meters. 35 to 45 meters or 30 meters to 45 meters. Right. It is a circular cross section, you remember. And the construction is welded construction. That means we are welding the steel. We are not doing rivet joints. We are doing welding to prevent corrosion actually. There is a concept. If you do rivet joints, there might be some corrosion, crevice corrosion. Crevice corrosion may happen. So that's why we are doing welding construction. And the entire blast furnace is on a concrete, reinforced concrete, steel reinforced concrete. You have to remember. There is no support. Earlier days they are giving some support, pillar support. But nowadays the entire blast furnace is on a foundation. That is concrete, steel reinforced concrete foundation. These are the things, important points. And I told you the hot air we are supplying at a velocity of 200 to 300 meter per second. And the temperature of the hot blast is basically 1000 degrees centigrade, 950 to 1000. Can you tell me why we called this furnace as a blast furnace?
Because, sir, hot air
Because hot air,
blast
blast air is given.
Yes, because the thing is, we are providing hot air at a very high velocity, 200 to 300 meters per second. It is kind of blasting hot air. It is so high velocity that it appears as a blasting. You are doing some blasting. That's why it is called hot blast furnace. And also you can write why we call pig iron, because it resembles to the litter of the pig. Okay, I'll stop here. Any other questions you have?
सर बैंकिंग एंड फैनिंग
Yes, sir.
जो ब्लास्ट फर्नेस ऑपरेशन में जो सर बैंकिंग एंड फैनिंग है सर वो थोड़ा बता
Banking signing, okay, blast furnace operation. Okay. I'll explain it in some other class, fine? If I have time, I'll got some time, I'll explain it. Fine?
सर बिफोर एग्जाम
Before exam, okay.
यस सर
Okay, later I will try my best. Huh? Yeah, you can. If you have any questions, further question, you can ask me. Like up to this, you can ask.
Yes, sir, I have a question. Sir, when coke is converted means when all the carbon is reacted with oxygen to form carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide, then when coke is not melting, no, it's converting to ash and settling down in the furnace. So how this is removed?
Actually, the coke. See what I told. The coke mainly contains carbon and some ash. It is okay. So carbon part become carbon monoxide, and the rest part, which is ash, will become slag. It is okay now. That will react with flux to become slag. You understood my point, Vedant?
Yes, sir, yes.
Because I told ash is
Basically,
basically
all these
silicon.
impurities are. Yes.
Yeah.
So, sir, then we have to use more amount of flux. No, means the flux
Obviously,
which we are using in the.
you need to do calculations. You need to do calculations. How much amount of gangs are there in iron ore? How much amount of gangs is present in your coke and in your coal? There is a concept called pulverized coal injection from the bottom, from the 2-year. We are injecting fine particles of coal. If you inject more amount of coal, more amount of ash will be there in the coal. So you need obviously more amount of flux. That's why I told there is a concept called superflux center. Superflux center is very interesting because amount of flux is sufficient. in that particular sinter, iron ore. But if you are using only flux sinter, then you have to charge limestone and dolomite separately also. That may require.
Yes.
You just see the diagram, huh? Just white, then black, dark, then white, then dark. You understood what is this? This dark region are actually, I am talking about the this the image which is behind this slide, huh? The watermark image. This dark is the coke and white region is the, suppose, ore. Coke, ore, like this. We never mix the charge. Okay, you can stop the recording. Huh? Any other questions you have, or I'll stop here?